There's a lot of problems with D'Angelo Russell being traded to the New York Knicks, but there are also things that I like. Before I get into the video, make sure you guys drop a like on this, spread it out to more Knicks fans, consider subscribing, I'd love to have you. We post every single day on the NBA. You can also find me over at Knicks Daily where I post strictly Knicks videos. I also have a Jets channel that I just started up if you guys are into the Jets, but that's besides the point, man, because we're talking about D'Lo to the Knicks. The first trade that we got to talk about, guys, is the Knicks receiving D'Angelo Russell. They'd send Derrick Rose, a 2025 first round pick from Dallas, and Evan Fournier. To me, I wouldn't do this because we're basically giving up a first round pick to swap Rose for Russell. And although, yes, I'd love to swap Rose for Russell because Derrick Rose is always injured and he's obviously not the same player as D'Angelo Russell, but the Knicks shouldn't be trading picks. To me, that's the thing. I love D'Angelo Russell. I want D'Angelo Russell if we don't have to give up a first round pick. Remember, he is on a contract year. He has a lot to prove. I don't think that the Timberwolves really utilized D'Lo right, and I'm going to get into what Chris Finch had to say about this because he even openly admitted to it. He's like, I just got to put him in better situations to succeed. Now, a lot of it is on D'Lo. Obviously, his scoring has gone down the past 3 seasons. He isn't a consistent shooter. He went from 39% from 3 to 34 this season, from last to this. Defensively, he's not very good. But for the Knicks, they can actually match the salary by trading Julius Randle for D'Angelo Russell. The Knicks need a point guard. They need someone that can put the ball in the hoop. Obviously, they want Obi Toppin to start. If you keep Julius Randle, Obi's not starting. You can't develop Obi Toppin without a starting spot. And we saw that because what happened when Randle was shut down at the end of the season? Oh yeah, Obi Toppin played well. He was playing finally getting over 30 minutes a game, and he was really balling out. So you bring in D'Angelo Russell. Well, now you've got D'Lo, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks have a good defense. In March, they were a top 4 team in defense. They really struggled all season with offense. A lot of it is Coach Tibb. He isn't the most creative coach. He isn't a very good offensive-minded coach, but he has these guys defending. So I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, D'Lo sucks on defense. Yeah, he does, but also if D'Lo doesn't play defense, he's not going to play for the Knicks. So let's just say that we trade Randall for D'Lo and it doesn't work out. Well, he's on an expiring contract. So at the end of the day, well, now you've got Miles McBride, you've got you've got Miles McBride, and then you've got Manuel Quickly. So that right there would be the guards for the Knicks, and maybe they draft someone, maybe they sign a free agent. But I mean, again, like if the Knicks were to just lose Randall, I really wouldn't care too much. Obviously, I'd want to pick up a couple of picks, but nobody's trading a couple of picks for Julius Randle. No one's trading a first for Julius Randle. He had a bad season. Now is not the time to try to trade Julius Randle, and I certainly don't want to keep him because I mentioned with Obi and he doesn't really fit the Knicks to begin with. I mean, he had that good season, second team All-NBA, but I think that was a fluke, man. I really do. I don't think Randle's going to be able to play like that again. So go get D'Angelo Russell. Why not? Let's just say D'Lo does come in the Knicks. He plays extraordinarily well. He's only 26 years old, by the way. He turned 26 in February. So it's just really low risk, high reward to me, man. Do I want D'Lo as much as I want some other guys? No, I don't, but I definitely could be convinced of doing this trade, and I think I would do this trade, man. I really would. I'd rather have D'Angelo Russell on my roster than Julius Randle, but we haven't talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves side of this, and I'm gonna be honest, this isn't like the most ideal situation for the Timberwolves because they've got Vanderbilt, who they're gonna have to pay in 2 years, but at the end of the day, Vanderbilt isn't a third option. Julius Randle is. Like if you've got Karl-Anthony Towns, who's going to be eligible for the Supermax as long as he makes All-NBA, which he certainly will because he's a good player. So you've got Cat, you've got Edwards, you also have to pay in 2 years, obviously. He's just 20 years old, which is crazy to say, super young, played well in the playoffs. He obviously has shown that he can be a primary ball handler, which is why they can lose D'Lo. Vanderbilt is a good player. He's a better defender than Randle, but I feel like the Timberwolves definitely need a forward that can create and is good on offense. I know Vanderbilt had that 25, 26 point game or whatever, which was great, but also like the Timberwolves haven't had a forward next to Cat ever that could do what Randle can on offense. I feel like Randle's a good third option, man. I would really like Julius Randle on the Timberwolves. And I know, again, they're not getting anything better than Julius Randle. Like, you're not trading D'Lo right now. He's making, what, over $31 million for 1 year? He's regressed. He's not a good defender. I don't think D'Lo is arrogant by any means, but he was upset after being benched in Game 6. He had this to say. So a reporter asked Russell if he was okay with being benched, and he responded by saying, no, not at all. Quote, no, not at all, end quote. So Russell, he did score 12 or fewer points in 5 of the 6 games that the Timberwolves played in the playoffs. Obviously, this was Russell's second time in the playoffs. He is 26 years old, but he doesn't have too much playoff experience. He scored 12 or fewer points in 5 of the 6 games and shot just 32.3% from the field. And this is what I mentioned to you guys earlier. So Chris Finch spoke about this and said, we still think the fit is great. His skill set, his playmaking, all that stuff hasn't changed. We've just got to figure out maybe some different sets or structures that kind of accentuate those things too. Hey, you learn something new every day. I didn't even know accentuate was a word, but there you go. I could have done a better job of trying to get him into the series a little bit more with some plays for him maybe off the ball. So as a guy that covers the Grizzlies over at Grizzlies Kingdom, I watched every single game. And I actually was going to put this in my notes, but I wanted to have a quote to back it up, and there it is, the coach saying that. I didn't feel like the Timberwolves put D'Lo in the best position to succeed, man. I really didn't think that they utilized him at all. It was just Ant and Cat. I mean, Patrick Beverley is a good defender. He's the leader of that team, but like Patrick Beverley isn't better than D'Angelo Russell. So like that, a lot of that has to do with Chris Finch. I thought Chris Finch did a poor job in the playoffs. Of course, I don't remember what game it was, but when the Timberwolves blew a 27-point lead in the early fourth quarter, the Grizzlies went on like a 19-0 run, and there was no timeout called. So that is just on the coach. Like, you've got to call a timeout there. Obviously, the players let that happen, but like, I don't know how you don't call a timeout there, man. It's pretty crazy to think about. But it also isn't just the coach that had good things to say about D'Angelo Russell. So I actually found a quote from the general manager, whose name, if I'm probably going to butcher this, but Sachin Gupta spoke about D'Lo's season, saying that, quote, he's been a big part of the success that we had, and not just on the offensive end. I think he made big strides defensively too in the new scheme that coach implemented. It really took advantage of his strengths. We wouldn't be here without his contributions. So you have the GM and the coach backing D'Lo. Now, obviously they have to because he's on their team and he's making over $31 million. He's eligible for an extension. He's on a max contract. They've got to say good things about him. I understand that. But at the end of the day, like, the Wolves would not have had this type of season without D'Angelo Russell. We can't just act like he's a bad player. He had a bad series, sure, but I mean, things happen. Guys have bad series, and D'Lo hasn't been the same player as he was in 2019 when he made the All-Star game. But I mean, what better opportunity than to go to the Knicks and a team that really isn't expected to do much? They're just building around young guys. You bring in D'Lo, let him play with these guys, and they can learn from him. He can score the basketball, which is what they need. To me, I would do this. Like, I don't think D'Lo is coming to the Knicks. I don't even think there's a chance that he comes to the Knicks. But I made this video, and I kind of like talked myself into it because I'd rather trade for D'Lo and give up Randall than I would go sign Zach LaVine to like $40 million a year, or go trade for Donovan Mitchell, or trade a first-round pick for a point guard. I mean, when you can get D'Lo for Randall, who we want to get rid of anyway, because like, even if we just lost Randall, like, we'd be worse because we're getting, you know, one of our better players for nothing. But I mean, the Knicks show that they can win with Randall. They show that they might be better without Randall. So, but outside of that, is there anything else that I want to talk about? I mean, I don't really think so. Yeah, personally, that's all I got for you guys, man. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and make sure you drop a like, subscribe. You can find me over at Knicks Daily as well. You might be watching this on Knicks Daily. You could go check out Swaggy if you're looking for NBA. And once again, man, you can also find me on my brand new channel, bro. A lot of channels, bro. Daily Jets just made that, bro. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. New York is looking good for sports, but yeah, I'm out, guys. Peace.